Hey everybody, happy Monday night. Yes, it is Monday here. How are you tonight? I hope everybody is doing well. It has been a great day for me. I don't know if you saw this morning, I posted a picture saying, here I am. Here's my plan for the day. My plan for the day is to be perfect on plan. And I put that out there this morning because I really needed some accountability. I've been struggling the last few weeks on and off and on and off. I've been sort of doing halfway plan, maintaining, but not really, on the strong way I wanted to be the last few weeks with everything that's been going on, all the travel that I've been doing. It hasn't been terrible, right? I haven't put on a ton of weight, but it's been a harder few weeks. And the biggest thing for me is my mind wasn't there. My why wasn't strong enough. What I really wanted wasn't as strong as my excuses as to why I wasn't doing it. And so I was sort of playing games with what I was doing. And I really sat down last night and said to myself, what are you doing? What is going on here, right? Because that's not what I wanted. I am getting ready to go into a holiday that starts on Friday. That's a week-long holiday that revolves around crazy amounts of food. And I know that that's going to be tough. And if I don't go into that holiday with my mind in a good place and my body in a good place, it's going to wreak havoc on me, and I'm going to be just sort of out of it. So I posted that this morning for accountability to say I'm on plan and I'm here to report back, right? I've had a rockin' awesome day, perfectly on my plan, doing everything that I needed to do. But I can tell you it was hard, right? Because when we get used to falling off a plan a little bit, when we get used to not being perfect and sort of sliding by and knowing you can slide by and the scale's not going to really move because you find that sweet spot of maintaining, which I am a master at that sweet spot of maintaining now. I've really mastered that over the last 2.5 years, right? You have all these excuses, and when those excuses are stronger than our whys, when all those things come over, we lose every single time. And last night I had to really sit down and say to myself, why do I want this? Why do I care how this week goes? Why is it important to me to be in fat burn before I go into the holiday of Passover, right? What is important to me? And I had to really sit down and evaluate that and really think about that. And for anybody who's getting ready to go into either holiday this weekend, whether it's Passover starting this weekend or whether it's Easter starting this weekend, this is the conversation I'm having with all of my clients this week. What are you going to do to make sure that going into this holiday weekend, whichever holiday you're celebrating, and I have some people who are celebrating both, what are you going to do? How is that going to affect your plan and how you're doing and how you're feeling about yourself, right? So it's really interesting. Something that I learned not too long ago is we all go sort of in these 90-day cycles. And I've been talking about this a little bit before. We go in these 90-day cycles of being really, really diligent and on. And it sort of hits right around that 90 days that we tend to sort of drop off. And that's about where I am. I mean, I've talked about that's about where I am from when I was really rock solid on at the beginning, right, to now sort of that 90-day cycle. And so I had to step back and evaluate for myself. Where am I? I'm at that 90-day cycle, and where do I want this to go? Do I want this cycle to go back into a positive cycle, or do I want it to spin out of control? In my past life, in my past years, this would have spun out of control, and it would have meant that I would not be maintaining, that maybe for a little while I would, but then a few weeks later it would be up a pound, up 2 pounds, up 5 pounds, up 10 pounds, and next thing I would know 6 months later I'd be up way too much, right? That's not where I want to go. That's not what I want. That's not how I want to feel about myself. So by stepping back and recognizing that and really reestablishing my whys, why do I want to do this? Why am I trying to get off this last bit of weight? That's what's going to carry me through everything. That's what's going to help me stay stronger. That's what's going to help me really be on plan and make it through this and know that on the other side of this, I'm not going to come out on the other side 10 pounds up, 15 pounds up, 20 pounds up before I reel it back in. I'm going to stay exactly where I am, and I'm going to continue to go down. But I had sort of this realization this afternoon, right? I actually haven't been feeling great the past week, and part of that's been my nutrition has been off. So when my nutrition isn't spot on, I start to not feel great, and my sleep has not been great, which I've been talking about that a little bit, that I need to get back into my good sleep habits and, start getting better sleep. But I had the MMR shot last week, and since then, like the combination of everything, I just haven't felt great. And so this afternoon, I actually laid down and took a little half-hour power nap. And when I got up, I still wasn't feeling great, and I had a headache, and I took some Excedrin migraine. to kick that headache. And it was time to go get my kids from school. And it was beautiful out this afternoon. And I love my walks. For those of you who have followed me for any amount of time, for those of you who know me, I love my afternoon walks. And, but I looked outside. I kept looking outside out my window going, I don't know that I really want to walk. Like all these excuses were going on in my head, all these reasons why I shouldn't bother to walk today, right? Over and over and over in my head. And I kept looking at my purse. And you know how I've talked about sometimes, the kitchen calls my name, Lesley, come eat whatever's in there, right? Well, today my purse was calling my name. My keys were calling my name. You can drive. Your kids will be so excited if you show up in the car instead of walking. And I literally had to say out loud, to that little, voice, say, no, you know what? I don't feel fantastic, but I know what a walk is going to do for me. I know that by the time I get to school, I'm going to feel much better just being out in the fresh air. And I literally had to talk myself out of it. I don't know if you saw my meme the other day about if you hear me talking to myself, I'm having a staff meeting. Well, that was what was going on here in my dining room earlier today. I was having a staff meeting with myself, telling myself why I needed to get up off my rear end and go take that walk. Right? And not drive to go get my kids. And it was a beautiful day. And I was so glad that I did, right? I mean, I bundled up, it was a little chilly, but by the time we made our whole big loop and I got home, I was actually warm and had unzipped and my headache was gone. It helps that I took some Excedrin, but still, sometimes that doesn't kick it. The fresh air, I needed that fresh air. I needed to get out and to feeling good. And the thing is, when I got up to do it, I actually said to myself, because there's two different ways I can go. So I walk from here to the elementary school and pick up my kids at the elementary school. And then my daughter who goes to the middle school, she walks home with a friend and she waits there until I get to her house to pick her up. So most days we walk to the elementary school, pick up my kids, and then we walk over to get her and then we walk home. But sometimes, if for whatever reason we're not going to make the whole walk, I'll walk to the elementary school, grab the kids, come home and grab the car. So that was what I said to myself today. That was going to be my compromise. You know what? I'm just going to at least walk to the elementary school and back. And when I get to school, if I don't feel any better, if the sunshine doesn't get me going, I'll come home with I'll walk. Elliot was actually staying at school for tutoring. I'll walk Madeline home. We'll grab the car and we'll go get Emma. But by the time I got to school, I felt so good. And the truth is, I cherish that time with my kids. I love in the afternoons when I pick them up from school, and, especially, I love it when I have all of them, but especially Mondays when Elliot stays for tutoring, and that's my time to hang out with Madeline alone when Madeline and I are walking to go get Emma. And then I have the two girls walking home, because the mornings I have, Elliot and Madeline. So it breaks up throughout the week who I get when by themselves, and it's really nice. But I'm so glad I came home this afternoon, and I just felt so glad that I didn't let that negative voice, right? Those excuses, that were calling my name, that were saying, you don't really want to walk, you don't feel great, this, that, the other. I didn't let those win. I took out my piece of paper where I wrote down my whys last night, why I want this, why I want to make sure I'm doing well this week. I took out that piece of paper this afternoon and I took a look at it. And I said, here's why I'm doing this, right? Even tonight, when certain things, the kitchen was calling my name a little bit, because nighttime is my hard time, right? I can make it great through the day and then things start calling my name, right? And again, tonight, I pulled out my piece of paper and I said, no, I don't want it. I'm not hungry, right? This is mental. And I know once I get myself back into fat burn, I'm going to feel great. So I'm okay. Right? And I've made it through a rock star perfect day, and I'm going to go to bed with it being a perfect day. I'll be able to report back to you tomorrow. And again, tomorrow, I know my mind is right now back in where it should be, and that's what this is all about. If you're struggling with something, whether it is weight loss, whether it's anything, it doesn't matter what it is, it's up here. And you got to know why you want it, because if your why isn't strong enough, your excuses are going to win every time. I love taking a walk, but my excuses today, if my why wasn't strong enough, my excuses would have won, and I would have grabbed those car keys and I would have driven to get my kids, right? And that would have been fine, right? Those excuses have to be outweighed by why you want it. And the more you do it, the more you do those things to keep yourself strong, the more those whys will win out. The louder the voice is, right? I saw how great I felt. So tomorrow, if I'm not feeling great, actually the weather's supposed to be icky tomorrow. It's supposed to rain tomorrow. But if the weather holds off and I'm not feeling so great, I'm going to remember how great I felt by the time I got to school today. And that's going to start having a positive impact. And that starts pulling you back into that positive, out of that negative cycle and back into the positive cycle. So if you're struggling with something, if you're struggling with, getting back onto something or struggling with starting something new, my advice to you is sit down, really, really, really think about it. Think about why you want it, why you want that goal. Why is it important to you? How is it going to change your life? And what's going to happen if you don't do it, right? For me, if I don't do it, I know what's going to happen. I'm going to get through Passover next week and I'm going to put on 3 or 4 pounds and I'm going to be really unhappy with myself, right? I'm going to be backtracking all the hard work that I've put in. I don't want that, right? My whys as to why I want to get to my final goal, I had to reevaluate those also. Why do I want that? Why am I not content just sitting where I'm at, right? What do I want? And I had to put all that down into writing so that I could look at it so that when the excuses and when it was easy today to not walk, I could look at it and say, no, it may be easier to drive, but that doesn't go along with my goals. It may be easier to one more night say, what does it matter if I go have a little bit of extra whatever, right? If I go have a piece of whatever we're trying to get out of the house before Passover. No, you know what? It can go in the garbage. I don't care at this point. I would much rather throw out that food than me eat it and feel gross the next day, right? I know I'm not feeling great because my nutrition's off and I want to get out of that. I want to get myself feeling awesome by the end of the week, by the time I'm going into Passover, so that I can go in there feeling great and my nutrition be in check so that I can make it through next week, with flying colors and hopefully continuing my weight loss throughout Passover, because it's doable. My year that I was originally on plan, the year that I lost 75 pounds on program, I lost 3 pounds on Passover without our fuelings at a resort in Orlando, catered because my mind was there. My why was so strong that it didn't matter. The desserts and all the stuff that would normally call my name didn't matter. This year, I'm home. We're home. I'm making the holiday here. But I took my daughter grocery shopping with us, and she was looking at some of the stuff, and she said, Mommy, will you buy the marshmallows, and will you buy that? And I didn't buy any of it. I didn't want it in my house because I didn't want that temptation. Since my schedule's already going to be off, and she was fine with that. Her birthday actually happens to fall out during Passover this year. And she said, well, what are we going to do for my birthday? And I said, I ordered from the caterer. I got some cookies and some brownies, and that's going to be your birthday celebration during Passover, and we'll do a real celebration afterwards when you can have a real cake, right? And she was totally fine with that. But she understood, because I've talked to my kids about my why, about why it's so important that I stay healthy, because I do it so that I can be there for them, so that I can, do all the things that they want to be able to do and take them on fun trips like going to Disney, right? 3 years ago, I couldn't do that. Well, 3 years ago, I didn't have the energy to do what we did. There was no way 3 years ago could I have made it through a 4-day trip by myself to Disney with my 3 kids. I would have been falling on my face and wouldn't have been able to handle that, right? And it was easy now because my nutrition is in check, because I am in a healthy place. And financially, we were in a different place. So my message to you, especially this week as you're getting ready to go into the holidays, really, really, really sit down and evaluate why you want whatever your goals are. Write it down. Write down what you want, why you want it, and make a plan. A really solid, rock solid plan, right? Not just sort of a brief plan, but a really rock solid plan. And not only write that plan, but write the plan for when something comes up, what you're going to do, right? My plan included today, right, that I was going to walk to pick them up. I had a headache. I had every reason in the world that I could have said I was going to get in the car, but my plan said I was walking today because the weather's going to stink the rest of the week, and I probably am not going to be able to walk. So I knew that I wanted to get that walk in today, right? Sometimes I'll still walk in the rain, but it depends on how hard it's raining. But I knew that I needed to get that in today. That was part of my plan, right? So I still had to battle that. I still battled that thought back and forth, right? For probably a good 10 minutes this afternoon, back and forth in my head, and those keys calling my name. But my plan said I was going to walk. And, as I tell my kids all the time, thank God I have 2 legs that work really well. And I'm glad I did it. I'm glad that I didn't let my excuses overpower my why, because I feel so much better, right? I'm still tired. I am, and I am, going to wrap up my evening here very soon and get some healthy sleep. But, if you're struggling with anything, if you're struggling on figuring out what your why is, reach out. I'd be happy to help you, talk through it and ask some questions to help you really establish that deep why. If you need help coming up with a plan, right? Because sometimes we know our why, but we don't know what our plan should be. That's really a hard struggle. For me, for a long time, I knew I wanted to lose the weight, but I didn't have a rock solid plan. If you need a plan, I don't care whether it's weight loss or anything else, and even if my program's not the right one for you, I help a lot of people that aren't necessarily going to do my program, but just need somebody to talk through a plan for them, right? Reach out. I'm happy to help. I'm happy to chat with you and just listen and be a listening ear. So I hope you have a great night. Don't let your excuses control you. You are in charge of them. Your why has got to be stronger than them. Have a great night, and I will see you back here hopefully tomorrow. Night.